Hey guys, it's Laird. In this video we will continue working on our dodge and we will fix a bug first. So if you followed me in our last video, we had this left control based dodge, and one of the things that we do, we make sure that the character is rotated forward when we're dodging, forward in relation to the camera. So actually I had this one here as well. Okay, so let's see what happens. So when we go forward, we click Control or press Control. He does what we expect him to do. And we can continue moving as normally. So we turn back, we go back, we turn forward, we go forward. But now hold S or going back and then click Control. He jumps off like normal. But now the mesh is rotated 180 degrees. Let's say in the wrong direction. So if I click forward or press forward, which is W, now he goes forward, but the mesh is rotated backwards. And the reason for this is that we do not reset our mesh rotation, and we actually modify it in the dodge code where we shouldn't. So if I click back, which is S, you can see he's going back, but the mesh now looks forward. So let's fix this up. Third person character. And here we have the set roll rotation, and it modifies the scene component's rotation of the mesh. Let's go ahead and do this for capsule, which is our root component. So this will modify the whole actor thing, whole actor rotation. And let's return this minus 90 degrees. We don't need it. It will be exactly right. Okay. Click play. So now we do what we do, and everything is working fine. Okay, now we have one thing that I would not like particularly, which is left control is hard bound on the dodging. So instead, let's make this a custom event. Custom event. And let's just call it dodge for now. So the usual way how we implement dodge on the keyboard will be via moving backward and pressing spacebar. So let's see how we can do that here. So input axis move forward, and let's check if we are pressing actually let's see, no, we need to do it the opposite way. We need to be checking it in space. Let's see if we have input action jump. Okay, good, exactly what we want. Okay, so if you remember correctly, or if you remember and if I remember correctly, which I do, we are actually recording every frame our current movement axis value. So let's get this boy and let's check if he's moving forward axis value, if he's less than 0. So if move forward axis value in this frame is less than 0, so hard less, so it's not less or equal, it's actually less, so we are actually pressing back, or if we have a controller, we are going back with a certain, so the joystick which is used for movement is certainly pushed back a little bit. Okay, so this is the case. And if this is not the case, we just do the jump, but if it is the case, then we do dodge. And remember, if we go to dodge, it does all the checks, so we don't have to do the checks in the invocation place of our code, we can do the checks right here. So this doesn't change. As you can see, we didn't have to modify much of the code. Let's see if it works though. So I press forward, I jump, I do the normal jump, I go back, and if I go back and I press jump, I will actually dodge. So this is actually what we need. Of course, the problem now is that we also want to do right and left. So when I have this kind of case, this kind of setup, the thing that I want to check is, do I have the right animations? So let's search for this sword dodge montage. Okay, we have sword dodge right. And we have sword dodge left. Great, so let's just make these also montages, and then I'll show you how we can turn them into code, or how we can use them in the code. So right, and by the way, did we have any notifies? Yeah, we had interrupt notify. Yeah, so let's put interrupt notify here as well. So at which point we will allow him to interrupt. And these are root motion. Yeah, that's right. So somewhere here we could already notify window. Somewhere here we could already probably interrupt him. So interrupt. Okay. Let's do the same with the left. Create anim montage. Okay. So this could be, if you have the animations, you are more than you're free to use the rolling on the floor. I don't have them right now. I will probably import them in the project, and I'll just show you how easy it is to swap them out. So somewhere here already, I think, yeah, somewhere here we will already do the notify window. And again, we're using notify window because this is how we can utilize this play montage node. If we just use notifies, we have to do extra logic in the animation blueprint. Okay, so notify name is interrupt once again. Okay, and let's just check before we even expand this dodge logic here. Let's just check this thing, okay? Now, how do we check it? Well, we just change this animation to dodge right, for example. And let's make sure that we saved everything. So we do backward, and he dodges right. And he does it really well, actually. Okay, so now we don't have to check the same with the left because we just trust that it works the same way. So how do we differentiate them? Well, dodge will have to have an argument that you pass to it. And the argument will be a dodge direction. Now you can use ints here. So for example, 0 is back, 1 is right, 2 is left, or you can use enums. So that's a good point where we could start using enums in our code. So core, content folder core, enums, just to have everything tidy. And add blueprints, enumeration, dodge direction. Or if you want to follow like Unreal's way of calling enums, it will be e dodge direction. E stands for enum here. So what are enums? Enums essentially are multi-value sets where so the value in the enum can have one of several values, and these values, they have names. So instead of having numbers which do not represent, like, do not mean anything until you know what's their meaning. For example, 0, 1, and 2, they don't actually mean anything, right? You have to actually ask someone who made them or watch in the comments what does it mean. But with enum you can have 3 display names which will be distinct and which will actually, you know, mean exactly what they are, and they can be passed as arguments. And this is faster than using strings. If you worked, if you did programming, you would obviously know what enum is. If you are coming from functional programming backgrounds, it's part of the arithmetic data types, like sum types. So one of several things, like either, for example. This is also kind of what we have here and is enum. Okay, so backward direction, left direction, and right direction. And we have only 3. We are not doing forward for now. Just easy to have it here. I don't even know if we have animation there. So now this guy will accept dodge direction. As easy as that. Default value is backward. And the name of the argument will be just direction. Okay, so once again, enum is basically a type which can have one of the several predefined values at any point in time, and these values, the names of these values are kind of self-describing. So they're not just symbols, they're not just strings, they're distinct and you can actually explain what they mean as soon as, or you can see what they mean as soon as you work with them. So for example, I can switch by these values. So now it actually lets me branch over them and say, okay, if it's backward, what do we do? If it's left, what do we do? If it's right, what do we do? And we will be using this actually. So how do we use it? Well, switch is one way, but we could do the switch and do play 3 anim or have 3 nodes of play montage. But I actually want to suggest you even better way. So there is a thing called select, and select allows us to channel the value through without using execution nodes and just do it like that. So now we will switch on the fly without execution nodes depending on the value of this enum. This can also work for integers, it can also work for floats, I think. It's 100% works for booleans, so it's easy thing. Sometimes you don't need to do the branch, right? You can just do select. Okay, so if it's backwards, obviously we do, let's see, what was it? Dodge, I think it's just dodge montage. If it's left, we do left. And if it's right, we obviously do right. So you can see we didn't make our code here much more complex. It's real easy to understand what's happening because we're just taking a direction and switching on its value using this select. Okay, so the only thing left for us now will be to actually make sure that it works here. And we will have to prioritize some of these. So first of all, let's just have a default dodge, okay? Check that it works. So if it's backward, we do forward nothing, it's backward. Let's send him right. So every time we just send him right, we do not differentiate them. He does the right thing. Left, he does left thing. Exactly what we want. Good. So now we just need to differentiate them. Okay, so how do we supply this value? Well, I will show you how to do it with switch or select as well. So you could do this as well, right here. How do we do it? Well, let's actually put it into a more kind of nice looking space. So collapse these nodes because they have the output, which is here, the direction, and the input for them will be just these 3 things, okay? So we will break this guy. So basically we will make our own subspace here, which will be choosing the direction. So choose dodge direction. All right, we can give it a color as well, something like that, something funky. Okay, so what do we do here? And by the way, look at here, we don't have any execution nodes because we don't need them. Select doesn't require execution nodes. Okay, so we will have multi-stage select. It's not the easiest thing to read sometimes, so don't use this kind of pattern in your blueprints too much, please. Okay, so first of all, we prioritize this thing. If move backward axis value is lower than 0, we 100%, if it's true, 100% do the backward dodge. But if it's not, so if we're not pressing the back button at all, then we can chain the selects. We can say, okay, well, let's now branch off move right axis value, okay? So move right axis value, is it bigger than 0? So if it's bigger than 0, then it's right, because move right is bigger than 0, it's right. Otherwise, it's left. So this is a perfect example of the situation where having branching selects makes perfect sense and actually is pretty readable. So as soon as, just make sure when you are doing, make sure that you understand when you are doing branching selects, so or chain selects, right, that you are prioritizing certain things. For example, here, as soon as move forward axis value is lower than 0, as soon as you're pressing back button, immediately it will be a backward output, right? So backward dodge. So whatever you're pressing in the right axis, so right or left button, it doesn't matter because we're branching here, okay? It's really handy, doesn't require any execution nodes, so use it, okay? So let's try, actually no, we have some code here we don't need. yeah, maybe, let's see, do we do any dodge direction? Yeah, we could just check. Yeah, you know what? One thing we could do, we could return one more value, which is, should we dodge at all? Okay. Should dodge, because there has to be some way to tell our branch up there, should we dodge at all? Okay. And the way how we check it is we take these two guys, so move right and move forward. Let's put them somewhere here. Okay. So if both of them equal, oops, no, that's not what we want, equals 0, okay. Actually, we can do NOR. I think NOR will be fine. So if neither, no, that's not what we want, sorry. Or, yeah, maybe NOR, let's see. Let me just see, because NOR is like, not OR, so neither of those, okay? Neither move right is 0, so move right is not 0, or move forward is not 0. Then we dodge. If all of them are 0, then we jump. At this point, jump is pretty much useless in our game, but we want to keep the logic kind of, you know, going, okay? We don't want to just remove the jump for now. Also, this is the way how I would show you that, you know, it's possible to have both. Okay, so first problem here is when you move forward, it does dodge to the left for some reason, okay? So we will discover why is it in a minute, but for now let's test otherwise. So backwards works, right one works, left one works. Forward does weird thing, okay? Actually, you know what? I think I'm not checking this thing at all. Yeah, so condition's always true, but if we check it, now we will have a different result. Yeah, so he jumps if he moves up, if he doesn't move at all. If he moves forward, he also doesn't dodge. So this is, now it's fixed because before I forgot to use the boolean at all. Okay, so pretty much what we want. We can jump forward, we still don't have jump animation, sorry for this. Didn't have time to take care of this part. And if we do, let's see. Now, for some reason, we're not doing it anymore. Okay, so after some time, we are not getting our dodges working. I'm not sure why. Gotta check it. So let's see once again what's happening here. Okay, so after one jump, yeah, okay. No, I think something weird is happening here. Yeah, okay, so we definitely did not account for something. Maybe NOR is not what we want. So if move right axis value, let's make it real now. So if move right axis value is actually 0. Okay, so we move right or left. So we press A or D button, okay? And move forward is more or equal 0. So we either press forward or we don't. We either press forward or we don't move forward at all. So in these cases we would dodge, right? Let's see. This is the kind of Boolean confusion that you get sometimes. Sorry, I'm kind of getting a brain freeze. Right, so let's just think this through once more. So when do we dodge? We dodge when? Let me just go from the opposite. We dodge when move forward axis value is less or equal 0, and at the same time, so if it's less than equal 0, and at the same time move right is equal 0. So we are moving back or we are standing in one place, okay, but we're not moving right and left. So this is one of the situations when we dodge. So the other situation when we dodge, okay, and we can do OR here. The other situation when we dodge is move right axis value is not equal 0, so we're moving right or left, okay? And at the same time, something else is happening, which is move forward is 0, okay? So we're moving right or left, but we're not moving forward or back. So or, which is any of those two situations. This would permit dodge. So let's see how this works. Let's see what cases are left for jumping. So we can still do forward. Okay, so I think we pretty much nailed it after some brain freezes from my side. Sorry for this, guys. I'm kind of trying to also show you like real-time process where, you know, I try to channel the way how I'm thinking when I'm developing things. And it's not just, you know, pre-recorded or trained section of me adding, you know, code, which I already did before the video. So most of these times I kind of think of an idea, maybe I do some prototyping, but I don't finish it before I start recording. I'm actually recording and just doing finishing touches on the code in real time. So there's no kind of theatrics. I'm actually showing you how I would, you know, troubleshoot issues in the feature and so on and so forth. Okay, so we can jump forward. Notice, okay, it's still, one thing is still broken, is that when we press spacebar, so we are not doing anything, we just press spacebar, he does dodge to the left. That's not what we want. We want him in this particular case to do the backward thing, okay? So how do we do that? So for now we say, okay, move forward axis value is lower than 0. Then we do backward. Okay, so let's do or here. Okay, so if it's lower than 0, or it's equal to 0, and also move right is equal to 0. Oops. Move right is also equal to 0. And it's a good practice, and I'm gonna show it right now, to actually describe what it means. Not moving in any direction. Moving backwards. Okay, so again, this is something that we developed with you guys right now in real time. I didn't have particular setup for this logic. I just thought, okay, it makes sense that we could actually, instead of just jumping when we don't move anywhere, when we press spacebar and we're not moving anywhere, we're doing backwards dodge. It makes sense in the fight, I think. Okay, so now you can see that aside from going forward and jumping, which doesn't make too much sense, I think we will do like a dash forward. Dash forward would be real nice, I think. I would have to import the animation from different pack though. Okay, so instead, aside from going forward, we can do dodges in all 3 directions, which is real nice. Okay, so thank you for watching. Leave your comments. Tell me what you think could be nice for this system as well. I have received quite nice amount, let's just say, of a feedback of what we want to do here. Blocking is also in my backlog, so I'm thinking I'll try doing dash if I manage to import the animation from a different pack, and I'll show you exactly how we could achieve that and what could this mean for our game as well. But overall, thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, all this nice stuff, and see you next video. Bye bye.